Hey there, good afternoon. Certainly a beautiful day in middle of Michigan. So, here we are again. It is a Monday. Hi guys, nice to see you on so far. So I thought I would just welcome you in first. Let's give it a second or two for people to come on. Hey Shawa, hi Anna. Still don't know how to figure out how to see who's in here or not. Well, to begin with, this is a tough subject, and it's truly. Hey there, Anne Shatrine, how are you doing? A little bit of a trigger warning on this. I was really um, not happy when I saw this at all, and it's a tough subject to deal with, but I think it's something that really needs to be covered. A little bit of a backstory is when I was first in the motorcycle accident back in 1996, I had a secondary injury that was a bone infection, and it's what's called osteomyelitis. I had the bone infection for over 4 years, and I suffered all the way from my hip to my knee that was completely flayed open, and it would heal, and then all of a sudden it would become it stayed infected, but then it would get into my blood system and they'd have to open it back up. And unfortunately, that's really the only way to get it to heal, was to keep it filleted open. And the bone was just, oh, I definitely will, Viv. Thank you. I will look at my last stream and see what your comment was. Hey, Audit. Nice to see you on here. You want to join me? So, um, having that wound, having to keep it open, um, throughout those 4 years, I had over 120 surgeries. Do you still have the link on it, or do you need me to put it in here? Here, I'll just put it right in here. There's only a couple of us in here anyways, so this link is for Audit. No worries. I'll just chat while we're waiting. So as I was saying, for 4 years, I ended up having to go through over 120 surgeries, and they had to keep it clean. They had to go in and debride it. They had to make sure that the infection wasn't festering in there, because they couldn't find the infection, but they had to be able to know, um, and as it would heal, a spot like a tube where the infection would breathe would be left open. And it's unfortunate, but that's the only way really to get it to heal. Essentially, what I had wanted to talk about is just a good analogy to that, and talking about the Mace Kingsley Ranch, the Mace Kingsley Center. I remember we had I was listening to Ron and Natalie talking about Carol Kingsley and how she was one of the co-founders of the Kingsley Center. And so it really gave me pause, and I thought, well, what in the world is the Mace Kingsley Center? I'll wait for Audit to get on. But have you guys heard about this? Viv, have you? I know you're from overseas, but have you heard about it? Do you have a center over in Australia? What about you, Anne? Have you heard about this place? Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty amazed that it even exists. Yeah, sorry for the dead air there. Let me share my screen. I'm adding Audit to the screen here.
Hi, Mona. Hi, chat. Hope you're all doing great.
How are you doing, Audit?
I'm doing good. I only have a few minutes because I have to do a bunch of stuff before I head off for the council meeting tonight. But I wanted to stop in and say hi. And yeah, this Mace Kingsley thing, it's
Pretty amazing that they're getting away with this. And I can't get it to come up on the screen. Hello, hi, my name is Sonia. Yeah, oh, here. Yeah, it's pretty amazing that when we were reading about it, I wanted to read. So originally, this was the Mace Kingsley Ranch from California area. Oop, did I lose you? Audit? And then it was moved from the California area over to Gila Wilderness over in New Mexico. And apparently a large portion of the day, here we go.
hear you. So figure I'll just
There we
leave and
go.
come back. Hi. I'm just I don't know
All
what you're
better.
saying. If what I missed, I don't know what you heard. I was just chiming in that this Mace Kingsley is so critical, and when the website is just absolutely shocking. It's just amazing to me.
It is absolutely amazing that they've got away with this. I was just starting to read some of the history that I found out about it. That the Mace Kingsley Ranch was in California, and
Mhm.
then they moved it to New Mexico, and it at that time was for children between 8 to 17, and of course it was affiliated with the Church of Scientology. They were kicked out of California because of some violence that had happened in a few lawsuits. So they took it to Gila Wilderness in New Mexico, where they were kicked out of there. They were booted out of there too. So it closed in 2002. And what they did is Mace Kingsley, Carol Kingsley, and the lady named Mace, they opened up the Family Center in Clearwater, Florida. Now, a large portion, back when it was for just the ages of 8 to 17, was dedicated to cleaning and general manual labor. The school received criticism over the years for the treatment of the students, and there was many reported cases of underfed, as well as beating, whipping, and publicly humiliating the students as punishment. So basically, again, the ranches were shut down and they were run out of town. So then they opened it up in Clearwater, Florida, under the Mace Kingsley Family Center, and they started services for not only from 8 to 17, but from birth. So they started these processes. Yeah,
Yes. And in an area where probably the majority of their city council, of their neighborhood council, Clearwater, of their police department, fire department, they are probably all Scientologists. I'm sure they made sure by now that that whole town is Scientology from from every element. The dog catcher is probably a Scientologist. So they feel protected.
yeah,
And
they
that's why
do.
it's
And
there.
not only do they have the school for those, they have 4 different services that they have. They have child auditing. They have parent hatting. Do you know what parent hatting is? Audit? I seriously, it's a question for you. Do you know what that is? Did I lose you? You're on mute there, darling. Hat equals training for the position. Right. Right, Patrick. So it's parent training, child auditing, ethics handling, and baby processing. That just sounds wrong. Totally. Baby processing. Now, back before, there were some complaints made to FS. I'm assuming that's the Department of Family Services in Florida. And the Department of Family Services received those complaints and the reports. And then all of a sudden, the people that made the reports and the complaints received cease and desist letters from legal services saying that they were going to be sued for defamation if they didn't retract the reports. I keep losing you. We'll try and get Audit back in if she's going to pop back in. So, Viv, that's a really good question about protesting at the Mace Kingsley School. and at the Delphi schools too. Delphi schools are up in Oregon, and I'm wondering why nobody does go in and protest. Why they don't go in and protest. Especially this Delphi school. Audit, do I
I'm so
keep
sorry,
losing you?
That was yeah, it was an emergency. I had an emergency phone call. There's something really emergency going on.
No
But
worries,
I'm
no
gonna come in and say
worries.
hi and try to talk. But if I get pulled away, I apologize. Um,
That's okay.
So I missed a few minutes, but I wanted to say, if you don't mind, I believe that is why we only see that center there. I think they feel so protected, even though they have a lot of protection here in LA. I'm curious why. I mean, I know we have like a Delphi school and probably other things, but I feel like there probably is something like that going on here, just a little bit maybe under the radar, not with all the, like they're so blatant and I mean, with the website and everything is just insane. So I want to know where that is here and maybe other places, but it's got to be going on. You know it is.
Oh, most definitely. How do they get away with auditing babies?
How do you audit a baby? Because they see them, and I saw it in one of the writings when you go through it all, where it says that like they're not like they hint to like it's a baby comes with I guess lifetimes of baggage. So like don't just think a baby that can't be audited. They come to here with this, it's like to me it's just so I don't know. I don't get it. And this purification thing too, they do that as well. And I want to know where that's being done here because to me that's absolute child abuse. I don't know if with you're bombarding if adults want to do this that's fine, but you're bombarding children with this vitamin cocktail with massive amounts over the recommended amounts of niacin, which is painful. Like it just it causes flushing and it's just very painful. And then they had to drink a lot of oil, and then they had to sit in saunas, from what I hear, hours at a time, which is against and the health. They don't recommend anyone being in saunas. I don't believe under 16. Like if you ever go to a
Right?
jacuzzi, it's always 16 or older. And the picture, those kids did not look all 16 and older, and they're in
No,
saunas.
not at
So
all.
yeah, so like how many kids have had I want to heart conditions or heart issues or what doing this? Like I can't believe that there's been no consequences to this. We're just not hearing about it because they don't send anyone to doctors. How is that? I mean, there's no oversight.
No, not at all. And I don't know if you had heard that there was a claim down in Clearwater against DFS, which I assume is the Department of Family Services.
Mhm. Yeah, it
And
is.
what had happened is I'm sure they were Scientologist or bought off on the backside. So then the people that were making the claims got cease and desist letters from their lawyers saying that they were going to do a suit for defamatory.
See, I know, and you know what's going on here, and the parents pay good money for these services. People are
There,
paying a lot of money to audit and physically torture their children. Like that's torture to me. That would be torture.
I looked it up. It is $3,000 a session for a baby
What? What for the purification or the auditing?
for the auditing.
And that's got to be the easiest gig ever. I mean, what you just have them? How do they even hold on to it? You just let them. What are you gonna? We go Google Gaga. It's just it's the children. We really, really do. We all, it has to be focused on the children. If adults want this nonsense, they want to get purified, they want to be audited, whatever. But these kids, they cannot consent to this. And how is this not abuse? Because a so-called religion is doing it?
Because when you look at the website, it looks so rainbows and everything looks dandy, and you listen to them, and it's the perfect way to have a perfect family, and there's no warnings whatsoever, and it's a beautiful thing. It's all rainbows and sunshine. and they've got everybody buffaloed. So
Yes.
that's
But
my question, is how do we get these, how,
Mhm.
how do we tie into that their religious beliefs, their religious practices, and their doctrines are simply abuse? That Serge has it all laid out. How do we get them to listen to this? How do we get this going?
Little by little. That's why I do what I can with these councils to try to get that information slowly out there, build relationships like what you did, getting us into the OIG and getting awareness. It's just, I think it's the boots on the ground and from the ground up, and that's how it has to be done. Nothing really happens. The top down, they have to have a vested interest. It has to cost them an election or something. But down on the ground, you got people who are really involved in their community, and you can win their hearts and minds. If you work one on one on a lower scale. That's why I'm really into the micro. But I'm not saying we don't need
Right.
the macro. We do, but we're hoping it builds up to that. Like you're helping us take it up the chain to the DOJ.
So
Um,
maybe a good way to do it is to start giving definitions of what auditing or purists are,
right. And
so they
I would love to get.
understand.
Yes, like what would be helpful if, I'm not a graphic design artist, if a real graphic design, interesting thing, it's describing it in like a little pamphlet, that we can just pass out, like eventually. I know this is a process. It takes time to build on this stuff and people, but that would be really helpful because I could bring it like tonight. If I had that, I could pass that out at the meeting because you're allowed to do that. We could do that wherever we go. I would love to have that. So if anyone's interested, I am totally receptive to receiving something that explains the stuff. But I don't know if you could do, I'm so busy today, I couldn't go in a deep dive, but I did see in that website that they also have child there's another one dealing with more like the middle school teenage kids that are defiant, and they have some kind of program for that. I would really like to know what that entails too, because like those are
Ethics
kids as
and
well.
ethics handling one. And I had put a link in the description of Jenny and Mike Brown and Spencer when they're talking about their ethics handling and how they would keep her in there for sometimes 9 hours
Whoa.
on her ethics handling, not letting her out. That is so abusive.
That is, and that's just a control measure, and but they're taking away the authority of the parents too in that sense, because
Right.
basically it's like saying, okay, I'm having issues with my teenager, and instead of giving me the skills to know how to handle my teenager, they're like, oh no, we'll take it over. It's like having the LAPD come in, letting them handle my teenager, and then giving my teenager back to me fixed. Like, that's how I see it. If I'm mistaken, for like correct me, but it's
That's
your
what it
parents
is.
are giving up their child to this system to be fixed, and then given back. Oh, they're better now. But what was that process? That's what I want to know. And what
It's
did the
a
kid go
it's a
through?
basically the same thing as an outpatient residential treatment center
And God help us, with no oversight, with zero oversight, with
with
zero
zero oversight.
accountability, and you can't even get the CPS to go. And I understand why the CPS is scared, because you know what, they are. They're not a government entity. They are, basically a for-profit. People don't realize that CPS is not government. They are for profit, and so I'm sure they have plenty of bones and whatever skeletons in their closets, with those
Is that the
agencies.
Child Protective
Any
Services?
of them. Yes, all the child
Okay.
protective services. They're People think that's the government. They are not. They are, I guess, kind of contracted by the government, but they are for profit. For the most part, agencies. I don't know if some are nonprofit, but I know there's also for profit. And so it's kind of like a shadow kind of pseudo government, but it's not government. And so, who knows what's going on? I know they have a lot of kids missing, in foster cares and stuff. So, and let's face it, Scientology is really good at that's one thing they're good at, is that they're really excellent detectives. They know where all the bodies are buried. They know how to find the skeletons in
That's
your
true.
closet. You know what I mean? So I can imagine that's how they get people to back down. That's how they get CPS to back down. They probably know everything about, whatever it is they need to know about, that would like, get them in trouble. And that's just how I figure they operate. Because I figure that's how they're going to try to operate with anyone who's involved. They're going to try to get
This is
where
true.
they can get you. So that's why I think the government doesn't want to get involved. And that's why I think, CPS, as much as we bug them, whatever, I think they're more scared of Scientology than they are of us. So, um, it's just I don't know what it's going to take. Sometimes it takes like some kind of breaking case, which is sad. It usually takes somebody getting really hurt before it gets the attention. Like
Unfortunately, that's why they were originally, um, I was just reading Vid's comment about, here, let me just learned how to do that. Can Surgeon Michael suggest to the protesters that they go to the Delphi schools? Lori plays Feral Cheryl to MK. It is hard to get our comments noticed on these large channels, or I would suggest it. You're right. I always feel like my comments are always just kind of lost in the shuffle
can
of the
I
bigger channels.
true? Can I comment to that? That's
Absolutely.
already on my plan for this summer, like already. And it's funny. I just discussed. I was talking to Michael this morning, and I already told him that, like one of my plans for this summer is to go to different locations and try to find out. Like I already started. I found the Hubbard School of Administration or something in L.A. And so I'm going to check that one out first, and then I've already because I have somebody who's just kind of helping me, not bike guy. It's Jules this time, and we're talking about renting a car or a vehicle where we can go to these different locations
Hmm.
and kind of scope them out and map them. If we can see what's going on. So that is one of my big plans for the summer. Um, because I think it's important. I want to find. I don't want to just sit in front of Big Blue anymore. We got that covered. There. I want to know where else do we need to look into. So I'm already on that.
Well, they were bragging down there at the Clearwater in this MK, we'll just call it MK for short. They do 100 children a week.
Whoa.
That is so many abused children.
That
And
is.
I don't care who comes out of it at the other end and they become this grandeur politician or this spiced up kid and they're great. That's still abuse. That is still abuse when you put them through all of that auditing and processing. That's pretty screwed up. Must have lost audit on a phone call again. You got emergency stuff going on? So this was just, it's a beginning of a conversation. That's okay. It was just a
Perfect.
beginning of the conversation because just even hearing about these brick and mortar places was, I was pretty amazed that they even exist, let alone that they're just going under the radar and just there
And
and
blatant. Mhm.
pretty blatant. Yeah. So I really wanted to just start getting the word out that they do exist. I know, as I said, when I started hearing Aaron and Natalie talking about Carol Kingsley, that she was married to the arms dealer's wife, how they ran off in a relationship. But that's when we started looking at it going, what in the world is this Mace Kingsley? What is it? And I haven't even heard anything about it. I don't even know if Lori Plays knows about it. You would think she would have to, being in Clearwater.
Yeah, you would think. I also they offer like they even have it where you can request information. I'm sure they would know all of our emails, but I'm curious to see what they respond. Like I'm tempted to just put in
Yeah,
use an anonymous, and just ask and see what they say and see if they give any more info.
do it, do it, do it.
Okay. All right, and then yeah, I'll post it. I'll tell you what happens, and then I'm gonna have to jump off. Unfortunately, thank you for. I was glad to be here and talk. I'm grateful for you letting me on and talk about this. It's really important.
No worries, Audit, and I will talk to you tonight. I will be on your live stream tonight. Audit will
Good.
have a live stream tonight. She is going to the neighborhood council meeting of the Big Blue area. And what time do you think you're going to go live?
Well, the meeting starts at 7, so I usually go on a few minutes just to make sure everything's up and running. And this is the first time I've never been to this meeting. I used to know someone on that board, but he's no longer on it, which is funny. But so it's my first time. So it's I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to introduce, but it's just dialogue and trying to get to know who's who. Now the other one that we've been going to, that's next Monday, and
Okay.
we're already building a rapport with them. I've had one of the board members came out to me, and we had a nice little chat, and she's very receptive. So I'm trying to keep it where it's about advocacy, but gentle advocacy. More about relationship building with advocacy. I'm not bringing any protest or anything like that. It's just a matter of just really trying to get, because these are the people that, who knows, they may eventually see what we're seeing and be able, because they don't have the power to legislate, they don't have the power to really do anything, but they do have influence. They're on a board, they're elected by the people in that community to
Exactly.
represent them. So that's why we have to go, extend the we're here to help you, like Michael says, help you, help us, help you.
That's exactly right. Okay, well, do good work, do God's work. We'll talk to you
You are
tonight.
too. All right, bye chat.
Bye.
Bye.
So, hey, my name is Sonia. When you're dealing with knowing the penal code and the elements, of course, in any area is correct. But how do you get it going on the bigger picture? How do you get them to just start investigating? How would you put something like this in without causing it to be defamation of character? What do you mean by report their activities as they relate to the elements? Okay. But as I said, we want to be able to get boots on the ground. We want to be able to get information, and we're working it more on the level of the organization, on their practices. Their practices are illegal. Their practices are causing abuse, which might be a harder nut to crack than a straight on abuse. That's a great idea, Amy. Yeah, yeah. And I think we may have to work both angles as a systemic abuse or aggregate abuse and individual abuse. Hmm. Yeah, unfortunately with HIPAA medical reports, unless, yeah, that's really a hard thing to do. Amy, what area of the states are you in? Are you here in the United States or are you abroad? Oh, I'm sure they can be done. Well, look at the original Mace Kingsley. They were both closed. Okay. So you're in the United States. So they were both closed because of abuse issues. So it can be done. Hmm. Well, definitely thoughts to ponder and ways to do this. And, I've got really great ideas on the systemic and the aggregate, but not so much on the individual. So maybe it's something that we really need to poke and prod the parents that their children have been abused or are being abused to come forward. Yeah, for the school, for the Delphi school. Infiltration. You'd have to find somebody to do that. Yeah, I need to get more information about the Delphi school that's in California. Oh, you are in Florida. Are you in the Clearwater area, Sonia? Thanks, Audit, and I'm excited to hear for tonight. Ah, bummer. Yeah, I'm wondering if we could get some help from Lori Plays or from Feral Cheryl in that area, or even Soda. Excuse me while I try and change my positions here. Well, if anybody has connections with Lori Plays or Feral Cheryl, I know Poe on the Go does, and so I might ask him. Yeah, I know, and it's too far for me to drive. But maybe I'll ask Poe on the Go and see if John can get a hold of her and see what kind of snooping and sleuthing they can do, since it's right in that area. Okay, well, does anybody have any other questions or suggestions? Because I'm going to have to end the stream here pretty quick. Thanks for letting me get this information out and get it started. I did put in an invitation to AA Ron and Poe, and hopefully they'll either be able to see this on the replay and get back with us, or give me an email at some point. So thank you for your time, you guys. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Audit. I really appreciate it. And definitely have a wonderful day. I will talk to you guys on the next one as soon as we get more information.